Okay, guys, so if you guys notice that we're going to start using the review questions as quizzes or as a quiz for the previous day, okay? So here's a quiz review and your test review, all right? So let's look at question 1. It says, consider the multiplication division sentences in the first column. Evaluate the expression and mark whether the result is positive or negative. So I feel like this was a great question to review with you guys because there will be a question similar to this on the test, and also it's going to help you guys remember the multiplication and the division rules. All right. So just like what I said in those lessons, whenever we're multiplying and dividing, if the signs are the same, the answer will be positive. So regardless if you're multiplying two negative numbers or two positive numbers, or if you're dividing two negative numbers and dividing two positive numbers, the answer will be positive. So same sign, positive solution. Okay, so let's look at the first number sentence. I have a -7 times a -3. Both signs are the same. My answer will be positive. Okay, let's look at the next expression. A +16 times a -11. Both signs are different. The answer will be negative. Let's look at the third one. I have a -27 divided by a -9. Both signs are the same. The answer will be positive. And then for the last expression, it's going to be -42 divided by a +21. Both signs are different, or they're both different, and the answer will be negative. Okay, so keep in mind, just a friendly reminder, same sign, positive answer. Different signs, negative answer. Okay, so now let's look at question 2. It says, on Monday, the temperature at 10 a.m. at Sam's house was -6 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature at 2 p.m. at Sam's house was 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Select the drop-down menus to correctly complete the statement from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Okay? The temperature at Sam's house blank increase or decrease by blank Fahrenheit. Now, on the test, you're going to see a lot of real world problems dealing with integers. Okay, so that's why with this quiz, I try to aim for those real world problems. Okay, so on Monday, well, let's look at this. Okay, we have -6 and a +2. Now, I'm going to use a number line to explain the thought process and so on. So in our middle of our number line, we're going to put a 0. I'm going to mark 2, a +2, and we're going to mark a -6. Okay? So just like I was telling one of my classes today, anytime we're comparing a negative and a positive number will always be greater than a negative number. Think about it. It's better to have $1 than to owe somebody $10, okay? So let's look at it, all right? So it's 2 degrees Fahrenheit, so then it was at -6. So it increased. It increased because it went all the way to a +2. Okay, so it increased. But by how much though? So let's look, how far is -6 away from 0? -6 is 6 units away from 0. Okay? And then once we get to 0, we still got to get to 2. So how far is 2 away from 0? 2 is 2 units away. So we traveled 8 units down the number line. So this will be 8 units total. Okay? Let's move on to the next question, which is, which expression is equivalent to 2 2/10 minus 2 5/10? All right, So I want you guys to pay attention to this question. You may see it again on your assessment. All right. So this is subtracting integers. I emphasized this so many times in one lesson. I can't recall which one it was in particular, but subtracting a positive is the same as adding a negative. This is called the additive inverse. As a matter of fact, in my class, whenever I get to this unit, whenever we see subtraction, we're going to automatically change it to addition, which I want you guys to do now. All right. So it's going to be adding the opposite, which is the additive inverse. Write that down. And this is like adding the opposite. Okay. So it'll be 2.2 or 2 2/10. And then we're going to change it to add, to subtraction to addition. And the opposite of a positive 2 5/10 will be a negative 2 5/10. Do you guys see that answer choice? If you guess C, you're absolutely correct. Okay? So if you had any issues with the additive inverse or subtracting integers, make sure you refer to your manager's Google Meet session. Okay, let's move to the next question. Question 4. Yesterday, the temperature at noon was 11 4/10 degrees Fahrenheit. By midnight, the temperature decreased by 15 7/10 degrees. What was the temperature at midnight? All right, guys. So let's start with the number line. I'm going to do a vertical one since we're talking about temperature outside. I mean, we're talking about temperature with this question, but you know, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to use a vertical one just in case vertical works better for you guys at home. So at noon, the temperature was 11 4/10 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, they didn't tell us what was the temperature after it dropped, okay? But we know that the units away would be 15 5/7, okay? So we need to figure out, we need to figure out how far is 15 7/10 away from 11 4/10, okay? So it dropped, and that's how I knew to draw my arrow down. So it's going to take us 11 4/10 units to get to 0. So I want to find out, how much I need to go. So we could then do a little bit of subtraction. And even though my 15 is negative, whenever you subtract or add integers with different signs, you want to technically subtract them, and the answer is going to adopt the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value, but we'll get to that. So when I subtract, I get 3 and this and that. So I need to go down by 4 and 3 units. And since I went down, and now we're on the negative side of the number line, my answer would be a negative 4 3/10. Okay? All right, so let's look at the last and final question of your quiz and your review. Okay. A scuba diver standing on a boat is at an altitude of 1.3 meters above sea level. Underline that because that's important. The scuba diver jumps into the water and decreases his altitude by 5 6/10 meters in 1 minute. Which equation can be used to determine the scuba diver's altitude in meters relative to sea level 1 minute after jumping into the water? Okay, so this question is really testing your verbiage. Like, do you understand which words indicate numbers that are positive or negative? So let's look at 1 and 3/10 meters above. Okay. If it's saying above, would that be positive or negative? If you guess positive, you are absolutely correct. So since 1.3 is supposed to be positive, we can scratch out B and D. And so then it says the scuba diver jumped into the water and decreased his altitude. So it's saying that it decreases altitude. Now, when I look at this, all of it is addition. So therefore, that this 5 6/10 meters should be a negative 5 6/10 meters. Okay, so I can scratch out the one that doesn't point out or doesn't have a negative 5 6/10. That would be A. So therefore, our answer would be C. All right. So hopefully this quiz was fairly easy for you guys, and hopefully this review was beneficial. Needless to say, if you guys have any questions or concerns about this test, this quiz, and so on, please refer to your manager's Google Meet session, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's lesson. Bye, guys.